It is good to have you back. If you are just joining us, this is Firecrackers. You've missed quite a lot, but don't worry, you can catch up with us on our Facebook page. We stream live on Facebook. So now to the topic we have at hand. We want to look at the reluctant acceptance of CNG by lots of Nigerians. It's as if Nigerians have reached this point of they are not buying the president's renewed hope. I feel like the president has to really work on restoring hope of Nigerians, because whenever, if you go to the market, if you are doing a survey, going to talk about transporters and all that, when they're talking about CNG, they are not readily accepting of it because they think that it's just one of those gimmicks that the federal government is just trying to, those empty promises that, okay, we want to do this, then we never see the light of the day. But if you are to look at CNG, the conversion, it is set to cost 1.5 million naira. If you have a car and then you are changing your car to it accepting CNG, that's 1.5 million. But the federal government is offering a 50% reduction on it. So that is 750,000 naira. So despite the fact that it seems cheap, I think that is 230 naira per kilogram. That is for the CNG. But for the conversion rate, how many Nigerians will still be able to afford that at the go?
So the issue is, in fact, they are like about, the CNG started its conversion freely. Simply NNPC and NIPCO PLC partnered together to launch the CNGI initiative sometime last year. And of course, they are more or less playing very effectively within the downstream sector of the oil and gas. But the concern is how many people really want to even keep their cars on their road again. It's only someone that has eaten well, right, that is able to put his car on the road. Of course, the CNG is cheaper than petrol. It is more efficient. It lowers energy emission, is more environmentally friendly, and that. But the question people are not asking is that this same petrol that we are buying for 1,300 naira, 1,030 naira, to the band of 1,300 naira, about 50 years ago, it was just like about 9 kobo. Right? So if we are embracing, are we really making that same mistake of embracing the CNG now? Then after a while, by the time it unleashes its masquerade, it might even be worse off than the petrol that we are running away from. So of course, CNG is far more friendly and far more acceptable for the normal commuters in Nigeria. But what is the level of investment in capital that is required even in the CNG? A lot of these, how many cars can even convert to CNG? Of the total number of cars in Nigeria, are we even able to achieve 50% conversion over the next 2 years? Right? What also is the scale? How many conversion centers do we have in Lagos? How many conversion centers do we have across this country? If there is a crisis on the CNG, what is the resolution? Do we even have enough safety measures to be able to protect Nigerians from the CNG, that the crisis that we could have? Because we know that CNG is gas, right? If there's an explosion, yeah, it is quite lighter than air. You might not even know when there is a leakage or not. If there's an explosion, what is the crisis management that could occur? What is the casualty that could even occur from the CNG? So CNG is a laudable project, but I said don't be happy about it. Give it some time. Let it pass through the test of the Nigerian waters, right? Let Nigerians really come about it. The next thing we are going to hear is that, oh, the prices of CNG has also increased. We are importing CNG and all those. We are not getting it here in Nigeria and all that kind of thing. All those kind of news stories are going to come about it. So, but I think we are not really addressing the main issue. CNG is a laudable initiative, but that is not the core of Nigerian matter. I think what Nigeria should, rather than the government even investing in the CNG, the government should intervene and be able to reduce the exchange rate to, let's say, 500 naira. If we are able to reduce the exchange rate at 500, put the exchange rate at 500 naira, even if fuel is selling at 1,500 naira, of course, we are not bothered, right? Because we are going to see much more ease within the country. In fact, for the price, we can even achieve a full deregulation. If you say that the price of fuel is above $1, right? So if the exchange rate is, let's say, 500 naira, right? That means fuel will be selling at 600, 650 thereabout. Full deregulation, there is no subsidy on it, there is nothing on that. Of course, we'll be able to see a lot of improvement in the market. But I think this CNG that is being celebrated now, give it a test of time. Give it the next 5 years, 10 years, is it going to be worth celebrating? I think it's too early for us to start celebrating the CNG now until it has unleashed its full manifest thereabout. And also, CNG is not even the most efficient. Electric vehicles are much more efficient than CNG. They don't have emission at all. They are powered even with the high rate of band A customer of kilowatt per hour. Electric vehicle is even still cheaper than the CNG vehicles. How many vehicles for Nord Innocent have the government even contracted Nord and Innocent to produce 1 million CNG vehicles that Nigerians are going to be consuming? Or we are still even converting the ones that are imported from Asia, from America, from Europe for us to be able to do? I don't think we are getting the right things right. I think we should be able to empower the development of not just CNG vehicles in Nigeria, but also electric vehicles in Nigeria, and still look for, take our eyes off petrol. We need to invest actively to ensure that Nigerians' income is not solely dependent on petrol and natural gas.
Okay, all right. So because if we are talking about embracing electric cars, it also comes with its own price. Because if you want to buy a brand new electric car, you could be spending up to 30 million naira. That is even the ones that are assembled here in Nigeria, brand new electric cars. So now that lots of Nigerians are even struggling to afford 3 square meals in a day, how easy is it, first of all, to even, let's say, like, because like you said, we do not know the full face of CNG yet, unless it has tested the Nigerian waters. Let us first see how it goes. But let us assume that if we are to go by the current price of it, how many households, how many people could afford, even with the 50% decrease, 750,000 naira to convert their cars to use CNG? And how many people could cough up 30 million naira to buy electric cars? Are those not factors that we also have to consider when we are advising people? Because money is so it's so difficult to gather nowadays. What would be your advice? Okay,
so it is we first need to address things like basic, like feeding, right? Food is the most basic thing that an average Nigerian should, even an average woman is going to cater for. When time you start talking about car, that means you're even sustainable enough. You can feed well, you can clothe well, you can cater for some basic needs, you can cater for emergency bills and urgent 2K here and there before you now start talking about cars, right? So I think Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians are still below the poverty line. Not every Nigerian is going to be able to even buy a car, even if it's you are given a zero free conversion. In fact, a lot of Nigerians will still not even be able to afford that CNG to put it in their vehicles, right? A greater number of Nigerians are not able to afford that. But what is something that is for the social good? The things that are for the social good are feeding. Nigerians need, how many farmers can be able to go back to their farms? What is the active investment of the government in ensuring that every state you are able to have a farming hub that is able to contribute? The state farms, where is the Lagos rice? At a point in time, there was Lagos rice at one point in time in partnership with Kebbi State, but I don't think I've seen that rice in the markets over the last 1 year there about what has happened to it, right? Even the Lagos food hub that we are having subsidized fees. After a while, the number of quantities of goods that you are seeing there keeps on reducing day by day. By the time you visit, you are not seeing what you are seeing there before, because it takes a lot for the government to invest in that. Rather than doing all those playing at the low end, I think Nigerians need to go back to the source and go back to the farms. What incentives are you providing for farmers to return back to their farms? Are you also addressing the issues of insecurity? Are people even able to live well? We are seeing crises of flooding and all that. What exactly is the government doing to be able to address those basic issues? When you have now addressed the basic issues, Nigerians can easily feed well. A lot of Nigerians are, let's say we have less than 10 million Nigerians living below $1 per day. Then we can now, I think that is now the time we can now start talking about whether free CNG conversion or not. But I don't think the best solution for the government is now to be sharing rice, because the next thing, any small thing Nigeria is having issue, the government will start sharing rice. No. Nigerian government should not even share rice at all. They should ensure that the farmers are provided with the right incentive for them to be able to go back to their farm. They should be able to be subsidized taxes on food and basic commodities. We had about the 150 day tax-free window, duty-free window, but the bag of rice has increased from 80,000 to about 100,000, and it still keeps going up. Then something we are not getting is right. Then the government will say, we are sharing free rice. This free rice was hijacked by so many people. So I think Nigeria is not putting the right priorities in place. Like I said, the citizens are not going to be complain, or the citizens are not going to be aggravated if they are able to even afford to live a sustainable livelihood. They are able to cater for themselves. They are able to feed well. They are able to eat well. They are able to clothe well. But the more the government, we are waiting for government intervention in due course, the more casualty that we have. And I think the leaders should be able to engage the government, the society leaders, religious leaders, academic leaders should be able to engage the government rather than building statue to represent the first lady or to unleash the largest artwork in the world to celebrate the president. I think we should be able to do much more active engagement than that.
Okay, all right. So just to round up, because we are fast running out of time, so that we have even run out of time. But how do we curb greed now? Because like you said, if a lot of people are using CNG, the law of demand and supply, it's so funny how it works in Nigeria. They would increase the price. We saw the same thing when petrol first got expensive and people were converting their generators to be using the normal cooking gas, and then price of gas went up. So what do we do in making sure that despite that there's high demand of things that are supposed to make life bearable for Nigerians, the factor of greed does not come in and take away the precious part of those initiatives?
So most of the regulators and most of the people at the government need to be able to fight that greed, and corruption has become so systemic within the Nigerian system, and except we are able to address that corruption, or except we are able to address greed in itself, that people are not looking to make more money for themselves, but we're able to advance the social good of the community, we are not going to, then we can answer the right questions. But if we say that now that greed factor which you mentioned is eventually going to come into play, and we are going to see it phase out, whether people want to make more money for themselves, in which by the time they are leaving this world or by the time they die, none of them is going to take this money out of this earth. So people are keep on amassing wealth for themselves without even looking for the development of the average Nigerians and looking for the social good of everybody in Nigeria. And I think poverty is also a tool that is being used, a political tool that is used in Nigeria, because we know that people are poor and people cannot even live for themselves. After 4 years, they come back and share a bag of rice for them again, and they'll go and vote again. So I think it's more or less they are using it to suppress the mindset of Nigerians and suppress people to continue to keep them in power, because if people are able to stand up for themselves, then they'll be able to take the right decision of electing the right leaders. I think there's a need to be a leadership shift and also a redrafting of the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at this stage if we want significant development.
Definitely. From what you've said now, but this is that Nigerians are rice-loving people, and when they see rice, they quickly change their mindset. But this is something that is worth the reflection, because Nigeria as a country that is very religious, the fact that we could be having the 7 deadly sins playing back and forth all around us, it calls for reflection, really. Thank you so much for being a part of Firecrackers today. It has really been educational, it has really been interesting. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And that's Oluwatosin Oladipo, a financial expert. And this is where, sadly, we will be drawing the curtains on today's episode of Firecrackers. We thank you so much for staying with us to the very end. My name is Uribami Sawako. See you same time, same station next week. You have a wonderful week ahead.